Hello, everyone. I'm Jay Hadwinn, brand ambassador of My Brother Spot. And today I'm interviewing Trenton Bailey. And he's the author of 2 books. Do You Remember? Celebrating 50 years of Earth, Wind & Fire. And Drifting on a Memory, celebrating 70 years of the Isley brothers. The interview took place at Mary Mac's Tea Room, a iconic soul food restaurant in Atlanta. The food was delicious, and we had a great conversation before the interview. All right, Trenton, how you doing, brother?
Doing well, brother.
All right, yeah. Tell us a little bit about where you were raised.
I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee in the 70s. Mm-hmm. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
Chocolate City, Memphis, Tennessee.
And how did you come upon writing these beautiful books right here?
Like I said, I grew up in the 1970s in Memphis. At that time, punk music was one of the more popular genres of music. Soul music, R&B, disco, but punk was probably had one of the genres that had the most lasting effect on me growing up. I had older siblings, so they had the radio on all the time. So I knew what good music was. Having them in my life. So I've always been a fan of this type of music. Got ready to write a doctoral thesis, a dissertation. I wanted to write about something I was passionate about. So I chose to write about Earth, Wind & Fire because it's my favorite group of all time. My dissertation is titled Comedic Consciousness, a study of ancient Egyptian themes in the lyrics and visual art of Earth, Wind & Fire, 1973 to 1983. Of course, I analyzed the ancient Egyptian symbolism, the philosophy, the lyrics, the videos, the album covers, all that. So, and I like, writing that because it was interesting to me. So I used my dissertation as the foundation for my 50-year biography, Earth, Wind & Fire, titled, Do You Remember? Celebrating 50 Years of Earth, Wind & Fire. So once I completed that, I wanted to write about something else. I wanted to be an established author. So as I was, doing a little brainstorming and browsing, come to find out there had not been a dissertation-style type book or biography written about the Isley brothers. And they were coming up on their 70-year anniversary. Tony Martin said, if there's a book that you want to read that hasn't been written, then you should write it. So I began writing the biography of the Isley brothers. It is titled Drifting on a Memory, celebrating 70 years of the Isley brothers. And my next book, I'm still writing, my next book will be on Afrofuturism in classic funk music. If you don't know what Afrofuturism is, I encourage you to look it up, Google it.
And what's your profession?
I'm a professor at Clark Atlanta University. I teach African American Studies and History.
Do you love it? Is that something you love to do?
Yeah, I love it. I don't consider it to be work. I like it. The students love me. I get good evaluations for the month. My students. So I think I'm doing the right thing.
Right. So, how long have you been living in Atlanta?
First came to Atlanta in September 1996 after the Olympics. So mainly for 30 years, I went back to Memphis a couple of times, short stints. But, since September 1996, I have called Atlanta home for almost 30 years.
I love Atlanta. This is a real nice city. So now, how's the sales been on your books? I mean, eventually I'm gonna buy one because I mean, the covers are beautiful, man. Look at these covers, man. Look how this book look. And there's so much information in these books that we probably never even heard of about, Earth, Wind & Fire and the Isley brothers.
Sales are going steady. They are increasing now since I have 2 books. So when people find out about the Isley brothers, they see that I have a book on Earth, Wind & Fire. So that helps the Earth, Wind & Fire sale. People who are fans of Earth, Wind & Fire see that I got the Isley brothers book. They said, well, let me check this one out also. So since I have both books, the Isley brothers book was released in October 2025. So it just recently come out. So the sales are increasing now that I have 2 books.
That's amazing. That's interesting. So, when was the first time you went to an Isley Brother concert?
Funny you asked that. Mm-hmm. I've never been to an Isley Brothers concert.
Okay. How about Earth, Wind, and Fire?
First time I went to an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert, you know, I missed their classic period. I was just a child. The first time I went to an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert was in 1994. I was still living in Memphis.
Were you blown away?
At that point, I was blown away about how good they still sounded. How much they sounded like the, record, the studio version.
Wow.
The Philip Bailey, his high voice, his falsetto.
Yeah.
By that time, Maurice White, was no longer touring with the group.
Right.
They still sounded just as good. Earth, Wind, and Fire is still touring. They will be coming to Atlanta in March. I think they come to try to make it to Atlanta almost every year.
Okay.
Isley Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, reside in Metro Atlanta now.
Really?
Yeah, they had I think they had a concert in McDonough, Henry County.
Wow.
Over the summer, so I got to check them out.
They do have an outdoor, acoustic area in McDonough. I saw that on an IG somewhere. Yeah, that's interesting.
Both groups are still performing.
So, hey, Trenton, thank you for inviting me to Mary Max, man. And I appreciate you trusting me to interview you. I'm Jay Hadwinn, and thank you for checking out my brother's spot. Peace. You can purchase Trenton Bailey's scholarly biographies on Amazon. Please like this video and subscribe to my brother's spot.